So how much has the tracking of KPIs boosted your practice over the years?
I think it's really the backbone of my law firm is tracking numbers. Now, I happen to like numbers, so I talk to a lot of law firm owners who hate Excel spreadsheets and hate numbers. So I always say that my first piece of advice is there's got to be someone in your firm, or you got to hire somebody who likes tracking numbers, because if you don't have that, you're basically just pissing in the wind, so to speak, with your business, and you're not really tracking anything, and you're not running a business, you're running a law firm, and there is a big difference. So KPIs are necessary to track in any company, especially a law firm, and it's either got to be you or someone that you delegate that to.
So what are some of the more interesting things you've learned about your firm over the years from the tracking of your KPIs? And has doing so helped you identify key strengths and weaknesses within your practice? Like, what have you been able to do with this data?
Well, the first thing is a general idea that has been in several books, that people like keeping score. It's just a human nature, and they want to know the rules of the game. And if they don't know the rules, like how to keep score, they're not engaged anymore. So a good example that's used in a book that many books, one of them is Fireproof by Mike Morse, which talks about KPIs,
Good book.
is the scoreboard at a football game. So if you go to a football game and the score is whatever it is, and it's halftime and they shut the scoreboard off, they just shut it off, you'd see that many people would leave because there's no way of figuring out who's winning and losing. So the engagement of the human psyche is tied to figuring out if you're winning or losing. And people like that as a driver to see, what are you being measured up against? What are the rules? If you have a paralegal and she doesn't know in doing her work how she's being measured, or what is the goal? Is it speed? Is it money? What's her goals? If she doesn't know the rules, or he, then they're not going to be able to be engaged and perform. So the first thing I learned about KPIs really was that people like them. People like being measured, and people like rules, because if you don't know how to play the game, you're not going to be interested in playing the game. So the first thing I really learned was that this is something that people like. That's what I learned. And then to identify key strengths and weaknesses, yes, absolutely. There are some people who don't like playing a game, and those people might not belong on your bus being your law firm. So if you run a business based on numbers, I had one lawyer quit because he refused to be measured, because he was a real big intellect and he liked writing memos. And we were measuring him on cases settled. So he was in the wrong seat in our office. He could have been an appellate attorney in our office because he just liked writing, but he didn't like numbers. He didn't like being measured. So since we didn't have room for an appellate attorney, he quit, because we wanted him to handle cases and conclude cases and be measured. So that's an interesting thing, is there may be people at your company that don't like games, don't like being measured, and they don't belong in your company.